Hello, people. Welcome to my channel. Happy listening. Ponniyin Selvan, Fresh Floods. Kalki, translated by Pavitra Srinivasan. Chapter 10, The Astrologer of Kudandai. Beautiful river Ponni claimed the Kudag Mountains as her birthplace and spent her infancy trickling through its fastnesses. But time passed, she grew to womanhood, and the time came for her to join her beloved, the ocean. She gurgled over rocks, flowed through forests, tumbled off hills, and gushed into vales, her eagerness to reach her destination growing each moment. As she poured over the plains, it occurred to her that she was closer than ever to her loved one. Her heart trembled. She swelled with sheer delight. She went further. Two limbs branched out from her, eager to embrace her lover. She leapt forward, hands stretched in front, but they simply seemed not enough. How could they, when such love overflowed in her heart? Her hands grew from 2 to 10, 20, 100. She extended them all in a bid to touch Samudra Rajan, the Ocean King. Ah, how the mothers of Chora Nadu delighted in decking out their daughter, the bride, in nature's finery. They laid out lush green saris to wrap around herself, threw fragrant blossoms from every flowering tree they could find, and scattered breathtaking incense to welcome her arrival. The sight of Punnai and Kadamba trees lining her banks, showering the river nymph with their pearls and rubies, was there anything to ever equal it? Not even the divine blossoms of the Devas could compare. Punni, no maiden could fail to be captivated by your charms. No woman would fail to lose her heart, dazzled by your bridal finery. And it was only natural, after all, that they surround you with laughter and delight when they set eyes on your magnificent beauty. One of the slender golden limbs that Punni reached out to embrace her consort was the Arisilaru. Tucked away to the south of the vast river, she flowed silently, concealed by a lush avenue of shady trees. Indeed, those approaching from afar rarely knew of her unless specifically informed. Hers was a sweet, shy presence, a princess leading a sheltered life in her Antapuram from birth, never to appear before strangers. There is nothing on this earth that can compare to the exquisite loveliness of this virginal maiden. May our readers kindly tear themselves away from the lures of the Antapuram and follow us between the dense trees on the banks towards the Arisilaru. Ah, what is this sight that greets us, sweeter than nectar and adding charm to such divine beauty? Who are these young women on a richly carved boat, shaped like a graceful swan? And who is the lady seated in the very midst of them? Ah, she is a golden moon amidst twinkling stars, with the presence of one born to rule not just this land, but all the seven worlds. And who might be this tranquil young woman, seated by her with a veena in her slender arms? Each of them, it seems, possesses a feature that adds to their loveliness. One is a Meena Lochani with bewitching eyes. Another is Neela Lochani, her eyes an appealing blue-black. A third's face glows like a lotus in full bloom. A fourth's eyes are of a graceful shape that would put the very same lotus's petals to blush. As for the one who plays the veena, one could spend days just watching her fingers, as delicate as the soft kandal flower, dance upon the instrument. And what, indeed, of their charming songs? The river flows softly, listening to their merry voices. Even parrots and nightingales nestling in trees on the banks have fallen silent in deference. It is no surprise, therefore, that humans, much more capable of appreciating such fine music, should lose themselves in ecstasy. But what do they sing? Ah, here it is. மருங்கு வண்டு சிறந்து ஆர்ப்ப மணிப்பு ஆடை அது பொறுத்து கருங்கயற்கண் விழுத்து ஒல்கி நடந்தை வாழி காவேரி கருங்கயற்கண் விழுத்து ஒல்கி நடந்து எல்லாம் நின் கணவன் திருந்து செங்கோல் வளையமை அறிந்தேன் வாழி காவேரி பூவர் சோலை மயிலாடப் புரிந்து குயில்கள் இசைப்பாட காமர் மாலை அருகை செய்ய நடந்தாய் வாழி காவேரி காமர் மாலை அருக செய்ய நடந்து எல்லாம் நின் கணவன் Namavelin Tiram Kande Arindhen Vari Kaveri. Now, where have we heard these charming words before? Indeed, yes, they are verses from the Silapadikaram, praising the divine Kaveri and her peerless beauty. And yet, sung by these young women, they possess an allure that holds listeners in thrall. They must be Ponni's beloved handmaidens. No one else could sing about her with such fervour. The melody, expression, and emotion that flow from their voices. But no, that is all nonsense. No one could possibly pick these songs apart and examine them for what makes them beautiful. It is sheer magic, sorcery, that well nigh bewitches both singers and listeners. The boat floats along the river, gradually sidles towards a gap in the trees, and stops at a landing. Two women step out. One is the majestic young lady we saw before, who possesses the aura of an empress. The other is the one who played the veena with delicate fingers. Both were beautiful, but in their own way with classic features. One's face resembled a lotus in full bloom. The other had a countenance that was more akin to a gentle kumuda flower. One had the radiance of a full moon, the other the translucent beauty of the crescent moon at dawn. One looked stately, like a magnificent peacock. The other was a mild nightingale. One was Lord Indra's divine consort Indrani. The other possessed the fragile beauty of Manmadan's beloved Rati. One was the royal river Ganga, a Vegavahini in her grace and majesty. The other, the gentler, bashful Kaveri. We shall not test our readers' patience any longer and reveal their identities. The regal young woman was King Sundara Chorar's daughter, Princess Kundavai, beloved sister of Arunmuri Varman, who would later gain immense fame as Rajaraja Choran. Her titles included that of Ilaya Piratti. She was to become a pillar of strength that the Chora Empire would one day lean on. She would also raise her brother's son, Crown Prince Rajendra Choran, into the warrior and great emperor he was destined to be. The other was a princess of the Kodumbalur clan, a faithful vassal of the Chora Empire. She resided with Princess Kundavai, as was the custom of young women of her state. Fate was to bless her with a destiny beyond her wildest dreams. But that lay in the future. At the moment, she was a demure, gentle young woman, as yet unaware of the part she would be called upon to play. When they had stepped out of the boat, Kundavai turned to look at the others, still in it. "Stay where you are. We shall return in a narigai." All the young women in the boat belonged to one royal clan or other in the empire. They resided with Princess Kundavai in Parayarai, as was the custom. All hoped for her patronage as princesses of various vassal kingdoms. To see her now stroll away with just one among their group was galling. Disappointment and jealousy warred in their narrowed eyes. On the banks stood a chariot at the ready, horses harnessed. Kundavai glanced at the young woman beside her. "Vanati, get in." When she obeyed, Ilaya Piratti followed. The chariot set off at a spanking pace. "Akka, may I know where we are off to?" asked Vanati. "Indeed you may," answered Kundavai. "We are about to visit the Kudandai astrologer, of course." "But why? What do you wish to ask him?" "What else but about you, my dear? You have been looking pale and dispirited for months now, not to mention thinner than ever. I'd like to consult him about your health and to find out when you'll be better." "Akka, if you please, there is nothing the matter with me. If this is all you wish to ask him, may we turn back, please?" "No, my girl, we won't. I promise that I shan't utter a word about you. Shall we say instead that I wish to consult him about my future?" "You? But why would you consult an astrologer about yourself?" "Why would a girl ever want to consult one?" "I wish to ask him about my marriage, of course. Will I ever wed anyone? Or is it my fate to spend my days as a virgin?" "Akka, wouldn't you rather ask that of your heart? All you have to do is nod. Princes from all 56 kingdoms, from Imayam in the north to Kumari in the south, would be ready to fling themselves at your feet. I dare say they'd arrive in droves from even beyond the seas. I wonder which prince would be fortunate enough to claim your hand. But that decision is yours, isn't it? Let's say, for the sake of argument, that you're right, but I see obstacles there as well. Should I ever marry a royal, I shall have to make my home with him in his kingdom. Vanati, I'd hate to leave Choranadu, made lush and beautiful by the river Ponni. You see, I've made a pledge to never depart these lands. I confess, I don't see the problem. The one who marries you is bound to fall at your feet, slave to your every whim and fancy. Order him to make his home here, and he'll be happy to do so. Ah, talk about bundling a rat in your waistcloth. Do you truly wish me to confine a prince of another kingdom here? Are you aware of the serious consequences that might have, my girl? But every woman must marry sometime, mustn't she? And which scripture lays down such a rule, I ask you? Take the poet Ovaiyar, for instance. Wasn't she a virgin unto her death? Didn't she live a long life unattached to any man and yet reap such fame? A Kavishwari, in fact. Ovaiyar was blessed by God, Akka. She received the boon of growing old in her youth. You haven't a single wrinkle. Have it as you please, then. But I shall marry only a poor soldier in this very Choranadu. Such a one will have no kingdom to rule, no people to govern. He wouldn't pose conditions about taking me away either. He would make his home here in this empire quite happily. Then you wouldn't leave Choranadaka, ever? Never, not even if they promised to make me the queen of heaven. Now I'm truly happy. You are? Why? If you leave, you see I shall have to accompany you, for I can't even imagine living anywhere in your absence. But I don't wish to leave Choranad either. But you'll have to, wouldn't you, once you're married? I am never going to get married, Akka. Good heavens, girl! What of the reams of advice you've been giving me about women and matrimony? Our positions are hardly the same, are they? Why, you imp! Did you really think to fool me with your little ways, my girl? I know for a fact that you don't care the slightest about these lands. The Choranadu you desire is now in Eram, fighting with swords and spears. Vanati, you didn't really believe me to be so ignorant, did you? Akka, do you truly think me so silly? How can an insignificant little dewdrop on the grass ever aspire to the sun? How would it ever come to pass? Indeed, there's no comparing them after all. But the tiny dewdrop does capture the vast seething ball of fire within itself, doesn't it? Truly, Akka, do you really believe that it may claim the sun? Vanati asked, all eagerness and delight. But then abruptly depression set in. The dewdrop does cherish desires. It succeeds in capturing the sun too. But what's the use? The dewdrop receives the punishment it so richly deserves for such outrageous daring. It melts within moments in the scorching sunlight. Wrong, Vanity. The sun does return the dewdrop's affections. He loves her in the only way possible. He takes her to himself and never lets her return to the earth again. You see, he doesn't really want other men to cast their lustful eyes on her, for she belongs only to him. When night falls, he releases her. Don't we see fresh dewdrops on the grass each morning? These are merely words to pacify me, Akka. So you do admit that something troubles your heart, while insisting all these days that it was nothing of the sort? Now you know why I wish to consult the astrologer. And if I am troubled? Vanati stared at the scene outside and heaved a great sigh. What would be the point of asking him about it? The astrologer had chosen to live in the vicinity of a Kali temple in a corner of Kudandai, well away from the bustle. It was possible to arrive at his home without entering the city at all. The chariot followed a well-appointed path. From the ease with which the charioteer negotiated the route, it seemed fairly obvious that he had done so many times and knew it like the back of his hand. Their arrival appeared to be expected. The astrologer and his disciple stood in readiness at his home's entrance. The moment the princesses alighted, he came forward and bade them welcome, deference in every pore of his body. Perumati, your gracious highness, this humble abode of mine is honored to welcome you, the embodiment of Kalimagal and Tirumagal, That you should grace this hut once again with your noble presence is truly a privilege. Ayya, may we be sure that no one else will try to visit you for the duration of our consultation? Asked Kundavai. Certainly, my lady. Nobody seeks me these days. And why should they? Your father, the illustrious King Sundara Chorar, rules with such benign grace that there is no want, need, hunger, or disease. His subjects lead a happy and fulfilling life. Why would they need to consult astrologers? In other words, I am doing so because I am in difficulties. Never, Taye. Who in this land would ever dare to imply that the Parayare Lord's noble daughter, blessed with the Navanidhis, the 9 kinds of wealth, is plagued by trouble? Doubtless, it is to succor me that Goddess Ambikai has decided to visit this pitiful dwelling, for with every citizen of Choranara living a satisfying life, it is I who am now deprived of an income and therefore in great difficulties. The astrologer recovered with considerable aplomb. May I request the princess to kindly step inside. It is an insult to your noble selves to stand at my entrance for so long. Kundavai turned to the charioteer. Make sure the Radham stands under the banyan tree by the temple. She and Vanati entered the residence. The astrologer paused for a moment to speak to his disciple. My boy, guard the door with your life. Make sure that not a soul trespasses until our visitors leave. The home itself might be of humble dimensions, but it was obvious that the astrologer had taken great pains to appoint it in a manner suitable for his royal visitors. A charming painting of the goddess was placed in an alcove in one wall. 2 seats were placed on the floor in readiness. A kuttuvilakku cast its golden light around the hall. Artistic columns were drawn along the walls and floor. In addition, palm leaves with intricate drawings of astrological signs were strewn about everywhere. The astrologer took his seat, once the princesses had done so. My lady must graciously apprise me of the reason for her visit. Wouldn't you be able to glean that from your palm leaves? Very well. The astrologer duly closed his eyes. His lips mumbled something as though he were chanting mantras. You are here, Taye, to consult me about this maiden's horoscope, he said a while later, opening his eyes. Goddess Parasakti's divine grace informs me so. Is this true? Wonderful! Words fail me, Ayya, when I try to praise your powers. Indeed, yes, my purpose in visiting you today was to seek a consultation about this young woman. She came to Parayare Palace a year ago, and you would have been hard put to find a more carefree, happier girl. She sang and danced all day. For the first few months, she was the most cheerful among my handmaidens, full of spirit and enthusiasm. But something changed. She hasn't been the same for the past 4 months. She tires easily and sits as though in a trance for hours. There's never a smile to be seen on her face, but when I ask if something is wrong, she insists that she is fine. I daren't face her family if they visit us and make inquiries about her health. My lady, this young woman is the beloved daughter of the illustrious Kodambalur Velir the younger, is she not? Is her name Vanati? Why, you seem to know everything about her. I have her horoscope too somewhere about. I remember collecting it amongst others. Just a moment, Ammani, while I find it. The astrologer opened an old box nearby and began doodling about in it. Soon he picked up a few palm leaves from within and read their contents carefully. End of chapter. Hidden Meanings and Explanations. Silapadikaram. One of the 5 great epics of Tamil, this work is supposed to have been written sometime around the 5th or 6th century AD by Ilango Vadigal. The story revolves around the lives of Kovalam and Kannagi, a young couple whose lives go haywire upon Kovalam's liaison with the courtesan Madhavi. Silapadikaram derives its name from the ornament Silambu. In fact, it is often referred to thus, which is a central part of the story and is renowned for its classic verses of romance, betrayal, tragedy, but also for its descriptive verses on nature, particularly the Kaveri. Akka, a term used to address elder sisters, both biological and otherwise. Kuttuvilakku, large lamps usually made of brass, with 5 or 7 lamp wicks. Kolam, intricate rice flower drawings usually drawn at the entrance of homes and sometimes within as well. Tae, although it literally translates to mother, it was also used as an honorific towards women. Ammani, another honorific to address women. The end. I hope you guys enjoyed listening. Please let me know if you have any feedback. Please comment, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much.